Okay, now we're live. Okay, so welcome. This is the first panel. I don't know. On Monday. Oh yeah. Okay. So here we are gonna talk with Adhan from Indonesia, Hans from Sri Lanka, and Yasmin and Kadu. It's not gonna possible to be here right now, so he might be coming for the next few minutes. They're both from Manaus, and they all from the 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 place from Indonesia, from Sri Lanka, and Manaus for the Global Game Jam Plus. Alguém tá com eco? Quem tá com? So, can you? Okay.
Is it okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So they are all from the organizers from Game Jam Plus from each of these places. So I'm gonna start asking for each one of you a little bit about you, just a little introduction. So Adhan, if you can please start.
Awesome. So yeah, hello everyone. My name is Argan. I'm a program manager for Asosiasi Game Indonesia, or in English it's called Indonesia Game Association, and mostly kind of like IGDA ish, maybe, probably. What I'm do 24/7 is kind of like supporting Indonesian developer and mediate through various stakeholder. I think that's the brief description. Thank you.
Hans?
Hi, everybody. My name is Haritha. They call me Ravi Hansi over here. I'm the chief organizer of Sri Lanka, and we are conducting this year 3 cities in the city of Colombo, Kandy, and Jaffna. We are running the only incubator in Sri Lanka for interactive media startups. So we have 2 game development startups that we currently have funded. And so I'm very passionate about game jams because I myself actually a product of a hackathon. I was one of the winners at Angel Hack 2016 Silicon Valley, and
Wow.
we sold our startups to a US mid market VC firm, and then the money that we received from the deal and we invested into the local ecosystem. My personal passion is investing in game development startups, especially focused on startups who are trying to achieve AAA like qualities to hyper casual, high quality games, but at a very fraction of the cost. The technology is becoming cheaper, and people are finding new ways to achieve that quality without spending millions of dollars. So that's I support game development in Sri Lanka, and a couple of our startups that we have funded has gone on to found largest hyper casual gaming platforms in Southeast Asia, and so that's a bit of my background. I love the Game Jam Plus community, the movement. We were also organizers of the Global Game Jam in Sri Lanka as well. So I think the game jams are going to be something that's going to be a big movement for the next couple of years. It's going to be bigger than any hackathon. I think that's my personal take on this.
Yasmin?
Hi guys, good morning. I'm Yasmin. I'm here from Manaus. It's the biggest city in Amazonas, the state in the middle of the forest. So don't know yet. Right now I'm a game producer on Black River Studios. It's the second biggest game studio in Brazil. I don't remember the first one. I'm not sure if it's Behold or Gazelle, whatever. And I think I'm kind of representing the girls here, right? Just the
Girl power.
Girl power.
Yeah. What a responsibility. This is actually why I like these kind of events. I think it's an opportunity to show the industry and to other people out of this bubble that I call it the game industry. It's just all the same people, or just programmers, or just designers, and jams are important for that. And I think my participation is important because unfortunately I'm just one girl and working on that, and this is an opportunity to show to other women that is actually possible, and the industry actually is changing and being much more friendly with women to work on that. So that's why I participate on this kind of events, and that's it.
Okay. I think actually Hans and Yasmin already answered my next question. I was gonna ask what was the motivation behind assuming the responsibility for organizing the Game Jam Plus. But you can talk more if you want. But Arhan, what was the motivation to start?
Awesome. So I think this is like my first time organizing the Game Jam Plus because that's the first Game Jam Plus in Indonesia. Previous before I did also organize the Global Game Jam as well. But I think the main motivation may be kind of as simple as like leveling up our Indonesian talent as well, because as the sake of not the different way, like the Game Jam Plus and also like the Global Game Jam, like the Game Jam Plus more kind of not only for the prototype but also kind of like the business side of thing, if I'm not mistaken, like the whole pitch kind of stuff. I think that's a good exercise for anybody in any level to prepare them for the real thing, to prepare them for the actual publisher, and that's like the main motivation. I think people in Indonesia in any level should join the Game Jam Plus as a good exercise, not only for a game but also for business side of thing. I guess I would say that. That's kind of it.
So, Hans, Yasmin, you gonna want to say something more about it? The
Yeah,
motivation?
exactly. So I think when we conducted the Global Game Jam in January, something that I realized was we actually gave prizes to even the Global Game Jam participants. We even had a community-based voting for the best game that was created in the Global Game Jam. But the Global Game Jam, in its structure itself, does not support competitiveness, which I thought was kind of weird because we are developing games, and the whole point is like competing for this. I understand inclusiveness and the let's say playing it safe, the harmony and
Yeah.
all of that. But I think there is room for competitiveness and also bunch of projects. For example, the bunch of developers who came to the jam ended up working as interns in some of our companies that we have invested in, and they are right now they are developing games for the hypercasual platform. So we saw, because we had those platforms already, we could have helped them, but that's not going to be enough. As a country, if we are to elevate the entire industry as a whole, I think there should be events like the Game Jam Plus, which is going to take a company from a product concept idea that's going to come out of a 56-hour hackathon, and then just like how I came, right? So I only went to one hackathon in my life, and I happened to win the local one. Then I went to Silicon Valley. I was lucky enough, God's grace, and we won that. We got funded in Silicon Valley. Then rest is history. But the thing is, so I wanted to create. When I saw the model, Game Jam Plus came about, when you guys reached out to us, I was like, this is the exact same model that worked for us, and now it could work for games, which my passion now. So it's like a perfect fit. And also, I want to address on the female part. I have seen hackathons. I've been a mentor in a bunch of hackathons because we run a micro VC fund, so we get invited to a bunch of these things. Um, I never see girls in any of the other IT tech events. It's bunch of guys. It's 90% male dominant industry. But in Sri Lanka, there's a booming subsection of females, girls, who are coming from art and design degree backgrounds. And these people could easily interject themselves into projects like games, because it's a nice creative plus logical balance. This is why I like games personally, because you need to have music. It's like producing a movie, but you have a programming component, and you have an aesthetic component, and it has to look sexy, it has to look great, cute, all of that. So this is why. So I think it's a perfect art or perfect product in the ITH for males and females to both, I would say, take 50%, I mean 50-50 responsibility, because it's the only thing. Programming seems to be dominated by males, because he kind of get boring and nerdy and geeky like that. But I think I've seen some really great female game designers.
Yeah.
Trust me. So that's what my take on it. I think Game Jam Plus will be bigger in a couple of years. Every year I see this thing becoming bigger, because the world is moving towards that, especially with this COVID crisis. People are at home, and entertainment is going to be, this. So that's my take on this.
It's nice to see how the motivations are similar, independent of where are you from. I started with business events, startup weekend. I'm not sure if you know.
I know.
I think we have in 200 cities around the world startup weekends. It's a kind of jam, but it's focused on startups.
I know. I've been a mentor for one of those events in Colombo. Startup weekend.
Nice.
Techstars, yeah.
And the game industry itself, we usually see as just as an entertainment tool, just something for fun. But when you start to see as a business, you see how important it is. And I think this even one of my motivations beyond the female background anyway. One of my motivations is actually make people see games as a tool, as a professional tool, that we can actually do a lot of things much more than just for fun. And when we help it to happen, we actually make the market itself grow and open spaces for new professionals. So it's really important.
100%. I agree with everything that you said.
Yeah, probably I'm gonna add a little bit from Hans and Yasmin. The condition in Indonesia, I think, is a good opportunity, because kind of like not only like game company that been rising through the international market, but also kind of like people from outside the game seeing the gamification of things, especially like I don't know if it's in other country, but case Indonesia, kind of like a lot of e-commerce doing kind of like gamification, and there's open kind of like game designer position as well, and then a lot of like education tech, like opening like game designer as well, kind of like, and then the government seeing that, especially like for Ministry of Education, seeing that kids really love to play games. Like there's a lot kind of like gamification ish kind of like learning as well. I think Indonesia, there's more a little bit more mature through kind of like not game as yeah, as Yasmin told before, kind of like not only as the entertainment value, but also the business and also the impact for the society as well. I think that's
Yeah,
Great.
definitely.
So I want to pass for the next question. Is tell me more about, like, tell us more about the local scene. So I know Adrian, you are from IGDA. So I'll
yeah.
I'll you be the last. You'll be the last, because this is easy for you. What are the like professional companies? Is there any students or design graduation who usually engages in more in the community? What is the importance for community collaboration or for mutual development in the ecosystem you have there? So Hans and Yasmin, if you can actually talk more about like how is like Manaus and how is Sri Lanka about it, like if that is how is the local scene today?
Yeah, here in Manaus, we have this. Starting to see the game activities more warm when Samsung opening here the Samsung Ocean Center. It's a kind of school to train people on programming, designing. I was one of the first people that studied there in 2014, a long time ago, 6 years ago, and they started this project offering a lot of courses for free to the community. So this was really important to start this scene here. Now we have this Black River Studios. It's also a Samsung studio, and we actually don't work as the usual game studios because we have Samsung behind us and paying the bills and paying for the project. So it's kind of different of indie studio. I have a few friends that have what's the Ludic Studio. They work really really well. They have a few games on Steam, which I don't remember the name of any of them. I'm a terrible friend, but we have a few small studios, but for now we still have this independent scene. It's not so professional like other cities for now. Hopefully, this is growing, this is changing. People are studying hard this mix of cultures. Black River Studios, for example, I think we are 30 people, and just me and a few are from Manaus. So we have people from different cities. A few of them work outside the country. So this change, they bring to us professional tools and different backgrounds. So it's actually helping to make the game scene in Manaus grow.
It's really cool that you put it like that, because it's almost like every other region in Brazil that is like starting and growing up. Here in Rio de Janeiro, we have really near the top with almost like Manaus now, but it was almost like Manaus with like a year before. Now we have almost 40 studios, but we have almost the same opportunities you have. I don't think we have like any Samsung, but it's almost like that. Hans, can you?
Yeah, so Sri Lanka, as you guys know, you might have heard. So Sri Lanka went through like a 3 years of civil war. So we finally got that out of our system, 2010. So last 10 years, the last 10 years has been the decade that you saw the growth is like probably the country was growing 100% every year almost in almost all sectors. The gaming industry is very very infancy stage. We don't have any let's say we totally have about 5 studios. Those are all indie studios. One of my friends' company just signed an agreement with Voodoo um, for these hyper casual type game publishing. Currently, one of my companies, as I told you, we created a hyper casual gaming platform that's working. That's it's going to be launched in Excel Indonesia, Ardan. So we are working with Excel.
That's
So
cool.
that's the same Axiata group. All of the Axiata countries. Axiata is one of the telco giants in the region. So Celcom is owned by them, and we are going to Robi Bangladesh. So that platform will be in about 5-6 countries. So the hyper casual market is sort of like the market is seeded by that company that we invested. They've been growing very fast. They're called Prodigy. They're going very fast. One of the founders is actually one of the co-organizers of the Colombo event, Yasid. So they've been growing fast. So we are actually at a point where uh, we are not growing a little bit like you. For example, our growth story is going to be very different from Brazil because because there's no like the market size is very small. Sri Lanka is about 18 million population. That's not a small amount, but the thing is, we are secluded. We are an island, but we are not connected to any other mainland stuff, right? And in terms of gamers, and we have a subset of gamers, probably about 500,000 diehard esports type of people, but that's about it. Since you're an island, we can't readily do like these events from with Singapore or something like that. For example, like Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia, like Ardan is part of the Southeast Asia, I think the gaming association thing. So these kind of national bodies are not here at the moment. One of the main goals of having Game Jam Plus in Sri Lanka is myself lobbying with the government of Sri Lanka to start national association of game developers in the country. Because when we have those professional things, we can then lobby to, because we have bunch of private universities and national universities teaching game development. So when we have a developer association, that that sort of creates like this professional ecosystem thing going. So I have seen this. I have helped build the startup ecosystem about 10 years back. So I have to like redo the same thing for gaming now, and I love doing that stuff. So we are at the infancy level, 3 to 4 companies, but we have a lot of promise because bunch of people who are running these companies used to work for big AAA type companies in US. They have come back to Sri Lanka after war, so they know what they're doing. So the art and the standards are really really world class, and also luckily Sri Lankans do speak pretty good English, and even though we look very Indian like, little different from the in terms of culture and how we think. I would say because British dominated us for about 200 years, we are much more towards the European aesthetics. So yeah, so overall, I think next 5 years gonna be very crucial for Sri Lanka. I personally think there are about 2 companies I'm paying attention. I think that they could very well create like a 10 to 100 million dollar range gaming companies in Sri Lanka because the talent is there. Even though there are challenges, I think we could attract money as well, and then rest is history. So I'm very optimistic about the situation in Sri Lanka.
So you actually in contact with Arhan for a growth of political voice with IGDA actually?
I might, man. I just got to know
Yeah.
that I was super busy with the event organizing in Colombo. I invited Ardan already to become a judge at one of our events.
That's true.
The
Great.
challenge, right? The challenge that we have right now is actually there's a development today. We were going for a big physical event, as Ardan knows. I spoke about this with Ian. We were going for a big physical event. So check this out. We have 1,700 people registered for the Game Jam Plus event in Sri
Wow.
Lanka.
Wow.
So that's about, yeah, that's real stats. The 1,700 out of 1,700, we have 480 people in 5-member teams. That's about 60 teams totally who wants to come as game developers. These are all undergraduate students. But today, because Sri Lanka has such a low COVID corona situation, because the government is doing something called contract tracing. For example, we never had even one case of social transmission for the last 6 months. I know there are thousands and millions, yeah, exact, not even one. But
Wow.
guess what? Guess what? Yesterday night we had the first social transmission case.
Oh no.
And
Oh
now,
no.
yeah, you can do the math. Now everything is breaking loose because we didn't have one single social transmission. This was a random test, and now everything is going fucking bonkers. Sorry for my excuse me, so now everything is like the physical event thing. We might have to rethink. I just want to ask Ardan, are you running a physical event or it's going to be like
No,
based at home?
it's gonna be full online because condition
Yeah,
in Indonesia is
yeah,
like
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
I have one of my best friends, actually, one of my very dear best friends, because I studied in Malaysia, University of Nottingham. I did 2 years there. Then I went to London for my last
right.
year. My best friend is Hassan. He's from Bogor, Indonesia. So
Yeah, I'm from Bogor
he
too.
was, yeah, exactly. He was in Bogor. So he was messaging me 2 days back. Hey man, I lost the smell. I think they got me, dude. Like, I gotta do the test. And he went and did the PCR test, and it's really scary. I mean,
Oh,
we are super. I'm lucky to in a panel with you guys. We are very brave. Everybody, each one of us, we are putting this together at a very challenging time, because these are not like,
yeah.
you just go out and organize something. I
Mm.
mean, yeah. So
Mhm.
anyway, that's the situation in Colombo, Sri Lanka right now.
Great. Adhan,
Yeah.
you can talk
So just
about
a
your local scene.
yeah, just disclaimer, kind of like the Asosiasi Game Indonesia is called Indonesian Game Association. It's kind of like the local version of IGDA. That's the national kind of like game developer association. So I think, yeah, I'm from Bogor as well. That's kind of a red
Oh,
zone kind of
nice.
stuff. Yeah, like I know that people are being fined for not wearing a mask. That's kind of like the situation here. um is yeah, what can I do? So the Indonesian scene, I think we are in kind of like a third generation, not third wave, I would say, not generation, kind of like third wave. The first one is kind of 2007, 2008. Do you remember like flash
Yeah.
games, all stuff like that? There's more kind of like a sporadic kind of like, maybe kind of like the same as Sri Lanka right now, kind of like people wants to be game development, but there is no association in a way. Like right now, there's no government support and etc. etc. I think, and then kind of like the second wave is kind of like the mobile, uh, like mobile search around kind of like 2013 2014 ish, right? Like everyone
Yeah.
wants to go to mobile,
Yeah.
etc etc. Like so that's where the Indonesian Game Association is founded, to same as like Hans said before, kind of like for advocacy for the not only the member but the whole uh, nationwide as
Yeah.
well. And then kind of like most likely like to what the biggest part what I'm do, kind of like try to educate kind of like the government that this is a big industry, especially in Indonesia. 2018, based on Yuzu, you could look it up, is 1.1 billion
Yeah.
as a revenue only in Indonesia as well. So I believe that people in Indonesia really like to play games and to buy one, I guess.
And it's a
Um,
huge market, dude. That's the thing.
yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
yeah, it's a
And
huge
the
market.
saddest part is kind of like the penetration for the local market is only kind of like 0.4 to 0.8.
Wow. Really? That
Yeah,
low?
exactly. Like that's the thing that we need to push the. So because the problem is kind of like when you kind of like have the patience to make games, there is some people that doesn't have a business approaches to do it. Kind of
Mhm.
like, yeah, I want to make my games, and then kind of like boom, nobody downloaded it, etc etc, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah, yeah.
the third wave is kind of like uh it's more kind of like a mature kind of like the first global game didn't start from like 2000. I believe it's 2012 2013, kind of like the mobile game booming, kind
Yeah.
of like people want to make game experimenting with stuff, right? So the now the third wave kind of like how do we make a business out of it, kind of regardless of like a service. There's a lot like service kind of like company focus on service, kind of like working on AAA project. Uh, the
How is
output.
the funding for AAA projects type of thing coming about? Is it venture capital or like
No,
some
I mean
other?
the AAA project is kind of like their client, so there's kind of like the outsourcing kind of stuff.
Outsourcing? Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, because I believe there's only Game Love in Indonesia. for kind of like AAA-ish level.
Nice.
So 90-ish% is kind of like SME, like
Yeah.
small enterprises. That's why it's really cool that people make a lot of games every single day, and then kind of like my job is kind of to support them in more kind of like how to make it a mature kind of like ecosystem, and
Right.
also with government, and also with the guys like you guys, like
Yeah.
etc. Like I
Man,
believe
I would love to take your support on building the Sri Lankan one. We have to build the Sri Lankan equivalent of this, because then as a professional organization recognized by the government, I can go lobby with my Silicon Valley contacts rather than just me going and getting support for my personal company. Maybe because I have met investors who are not interested at maybe the companies that I have invested in. But if I can bring that investor into another competitor company, even though they're competitors, we're a small market, So first, my duty is to get that investor, and then that whole thing's gonna blow up, and then some other investors gonna see that who's gonna be close to what I'm expecting. So that way, so I'm looking at it in a very holistic way. I think so. I can learn a lot from this Indonesian thing. Thanks a lot. I think this is the best thing that happened to me is connecting with him, and
yeah,
that's also thanks to him.
we really love to share because the Sri Lanka and uh, the situation that you've been right now is kind of like us probably a couple of years
Exactly,
back,
exactly.
right?
Yes, yes. Yeah,
So I think the biggest kind of like boost in maturity of the industry is kind of like um, the rock star of the dev in your kind of like region. Maybe
yeah,
if you heard of Coffee Talk, that's
yeah,
also from Indonesia, right? And also Dread Out. There's a lot of like international success.
yeah.
Not like a lot, but kind of like few of them is kind of like um, giving the government kind of like, oh, I think this is a rising industry, like we need to support it because
Yeah.
uh, uh, um, and from that boost, it's really kind of like a domino because before.
Effect. Yes.
So maybe I share a little bit like my first job is was a teaching assistant in University of Indonesia. I'm teaching kind of like game development related.
Right.
Back in like second wave, I think it's hard to sell a game industry if kind of like what's the benchmark. If you see like Poland, oh, it's The Witcher, CD Project, etc., right?
Yeah.
So I think I believe that other countries also have that as well.
I
So
think Another, I want to add something. So there's
yeah,
a one project that's happening called Treta, which is very promising. This is a project that's going to. Have you seen the Wukong Black Myth trailer?
yeah, I've seen
Yeah.
that.
So that's blowing up, right? In like it's a
Right.
Chinese story going to West. So there's a company that's working called Treta Labs that's working on a something very similar. They started it about 1 year back. They are taking the ancient story of the Mahabharata, the Indian peninsula, the gods, myths of Indonesian folklore, Indian folklore. It's like Asian stuff. It's like the Asian god of war. So I don't know whether you have heard a character called Ravan, which is like a king that's about 6,000 years back. That's like the Zeus of the Asia, right?
Right. That's true.
Bruno. So these guys are working on something that when I saw it, I was like, shit, this is like the if the Wukong Black Myth is like the God of War of China, this is
Right.
gonna be the God of War of the brown people, right? Like India, and Indian market is also pretty huge
That's
market,
true. That's
right?
true.
And also like that's sort of a game because even India the same thing happens. I think there are a lot of business process outsourcing projects coming up, but that's going to be like a BP operation, but nobody's working on their own IPs at the moment as well. Nothing like big. So I think as an industry to go big, we should have the small projects, the medium projects, the BPO projects, so that there's money to go around, and there are also some ambitious projects, even though they could become failures long term, but some ambition just pushes people together. because that's what I'm seeing. So this project called Theta, I would love to take your input on it. These guys been looking for some good screen script writer as well. They've done the background and they've done the set building. It's freaking amazing. It has a lot of this folklore stuff. Yeah, so I would definitely want to get in touch with Ardhan with a couple of weeks down the line,
Yeah.
maybe after this.
Networking already. So
Yeah.
actually, I was gonna say when Hans was talking to you about internal validation. Actually, he's kind of trying to import the validation from Indonesia to Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
to make this. Yeah, I in Brazil we have a lot of this kind of culture that we just are a huge country. So
Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
regions we have here has its own problems. Yasmin can talk about what's the problems in Manaus for like what they're doing here is actually saying about uh, the local scene. So in Manaus, how is the local scene in Manaus for not events like Game Jam Plus, but how is the like graduation for the students, the community, and actually the mutual for ecosystems like association actually, but maybe AJDA. How is it? How is Manaus going?
Since we have industry park here in Manaus, the companies have a few benefits in terms of taxes and stuff. That's why Samsung is here. Unfortunately, to convince the government that we actually need to professionalize the market, we needed this private support from Samsung.
Mhm.
And because of that, because of Samsung opening here a studio and have a technology institute, the government started to create a few graduation courses on university. So I actually made one of them, the specialization in game development. We actually had for a short time a graduation. So this is the sort of support that the government gives to the market. But actually, all the rest we depend of the movement of the community itself. So the students organize small events, organize small stands on the university to show their work. And it started actually on the university, and this is now starting to appear a few movements, little ones on schools and high schools. So now this is the thing in Manaus. We don't have too much support of the government.
How
Just on
how
the
is
part that
the professional companies? The professional companies with the students. How is the companies with the
well,
students? Oh.
since the market here is pretty new, fresh, we don't have too much professionals hard skills enough to work on the projects that are being here. So what we have here is a few places as internships to develop the students. One of the universities here is a public one. We have a studio where you can work, and you don't have to be from this university. For example, we just have engineering uh, lessons there. We don't have design and other stuff more related to art. So if you're a designer and you are from a private university, you can work there too for free, of course. You don't have a payment, but the teachers there support and teach. I work on this studio too, so it was very useful. But here on the biggest studio that we have in the city, we still have this problem. And actually, we have a few placements here for developers, and this is actually open for all the country. So we need people that actually know Unity. So it's really hard to find here in Manaus. And because of that, because people are still studying, still practicing, still knowing the area. So it's kind of hard. But as I said before, this changing of experiences, when people from other cities and cultures come here and change experiences, it's really useful for the marketing to help us to make it grow faster.
Yeah. In the
So
content.
come to Black River. We have jobs. We have placements for programs.
Go to Manaus. So, in the context of the importance of event like a Game Jam Plus, what is the impact of a collaborative space to foster the development of your local ecosystem? Like, how is the importance of Game Jam Plus to grow to give growth to Manaus and Indonesia? And Hans, I don't know if you're still there, but
I think the most important point is make people see the game industry as something professional with amazing professionals. It's not just for fun. We don't make it just to spare time. It's our jobs. We have pays to build too, bills to pay too. I just said that like Yoda. Oh my god! And this event help us to bring people closer. And one of the questions that we already heard is, can I participate of that? I don't know coding. I have no idea how to illustrate. So we're trying to make the community as friendly as possible with this objective to make people see that games can be business, games can be profit. I think that's the right term. And we need professionals, we need support. They're not just for fun. We can create training games for companies, we can create games for education, we can create games for health treatment. And that's the importance of this kind of events for small towns with small things like Manaus. Make people see that they're actually a serious job. It's really important, and this is an amazing tool to make a lot of things.
Adrian?
Awesome. So yeah, I think I mean in Indonesia there's the Ministry of Creative Industry, sorry, creative industry that also kind of like focus on animation and games. Like Indonesia want to push kind of like the creative economy sector to have like more legitimate kind of like, not same as Yasmin said before, it's not kind of like what we do in our spare time. Like this is our full-time job. And government really in Indonesia is kind of like um, aware of that. Like a lot of people wants to be a game developer, like the proper one. So they give more kind of like incentive, it's kind of like training, etc., etc. Like for a couple of it's already been like the last 2 years. And also I think the Game Jam Plus is really kind of like, if you want to put yourself in like 110% in this event, I believe that if you don't proceed through to the next stage, you still have the foundation to pitch to some publisher, right? Like because you already have a prototype, you already have the pitches, right? um, and I believe that this really push the maturity level of the I would say more kind of like the hobbyists to actually pursuing their what I call their dreams. I would say that to become a game developer. I think Game Jam Plus is kind of like a good jump start to actually make a living out of being a game developer. I would say that. That's
You're not just dreaming, you're actually striving to make it real.
right. Exactly.
Yeah. So I don't know how we are with the time. Actually, I think we have just a few minutes since we started like after. Okay, Hans. I don't think Hans is coming back. I don't think Hans is coming back. Hans is coming back. I don't know. Ah, é? Tá bom então. Ok. Okay, we have like 10 minutes. I don't know. About the community, I already asked it, but I was actually wanting to talk about like how is Indonesia actually organized with its students and
Right.
its companies.
So there is there is a formal and also non-formal education. There's a lot of company that giving a triple A kind of like training, because a lot of them doing a lot of the teacher for those I would say education tech is basically the outsourcing kind of like talent from AAA as well, or kind of like a lot of them kind of go back to Indonesia after working in AAA, etc., etc. That's so there is people, and also people willing to pay. That's the insight that I could get. So there's a demand there. And also for because of that, the formal education such as higher education and a university student, there's last year they start to kind of like thinking, oh, I think we need to open up the major of this industry, right? So a lot of like national university as well, kind of like not really a major, maybe a minor, I would say that. Like, so we're gonna be there. But I think based on the community itself, there's a lot of like self-sustained community in big cities such as Indonesia, Surabaya, Jogja, and everything that been included in Game Jam Plus. And also there is also kind of like a company that giving back to their nearest kind of like town. Let's say I'm in Jakarta, and I would give kind of like a workshop for game dev Jakarta. There's a lot of kind of like self-sustained kind of like, hey, we are in this together, and etc., etc. I think I quite optimistic that we're gonna be do much more better, because when we see our neighboring country, Malaysia, there's already opening the for PlayStation Studio for the PS5. So we kind of like starting to not really a competitiveness, but it's kind of like a positive, like, oh, we need to be more better than them, something like that. Not really, to step it up
Step up.
exactly, something like that. I believe that kind of like.
But you said people do come back to Indonesia after going out for the companies. They do come back to the local scene.
Yes. So I think this is kind of like the recent trend. I believe because of COVID as well.
Okay.
I think for the last 2 years, I don't know that there is a lot of Indonesian people that actually work overseas. I just knowing that fact after they contact me through, there is an event called Indonesia Game Developer Exchange. That's kind of like our GDC ish. So kind of like they're actually come back. This is like pre-COVID, right? So they come back and they teach a master class, and this is what I do in Koi Tecmo. This is what I do in EA, etc., etc. I think those belongingness of like, hey, I'm Indonesian, I need to go to give back to our kind of like our country talent, our newcomers. That's going to be, I think that's a mindset that I've, that's kind of like the things with others professional that come back to Indonesia. I think that's a good thing. But there is also kind of like some of the Indonesian that doesn't want to come back because the industry not really that happening. So kind of like 50-50. But yeah,
We
we're
need
gonna
that.
see the half full,
Yeah.
right? Because half empty.
In Brazil would have that too. Actually,
Yeah.
I was gonna ask to Yasmin. Yasmin, you there? I don't know. Wait.
I
I was
really
gonna.
just need
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, my
Okay,
connection.
go ahead.
yeah,
Okay, I was
yeah.
gonna ask. I was gonna ask if how is the situation with people staying or going out from Manaus? Uh, uh, when is about the local scene? Because you said come to Manaus, we need people. So what makes you need people, and what makes the people come back if they actually go out from Manaus? Because
Well,
yeah, yo go.
in terms of Brazil, I can say pretty comfy that actually coming to Black River, it's a good deal because here we have the huge support from Samsung. We have equipment. We have a really good payment, which is hard to find. So I can say that we have this privilege of being here and having all this support around us. But I can say too that when they call me, hey, it's me, congratulations, now you want to be our game producer here. I start to think that actually after Black River, after Manaus, I don't have in Brazil perspective.
Okay.
Unfortunately, this is really sad. So actually, in my situation is the same. The people before me, she went to US. Now she's working on Wildlife Studio. Two
Oh,
people from Black River went to Wildlife Studio. The other guy went to Canada to work on another
mm,
studio. So Black River is a kind of pool to train talents, and people just go to bigger companies because in Brazil, in Manaus or in Brazil, we don't have other company that actually offer all the support that Samsung and Black River gives. So it is an amazing deal come here and create
Mm.
portfolio and stuff. But after we don't have perspective
Yeah.
locally, I must say,
Yeah, it's
which
hard
is
when
sad.
you yeah it's hard when you go out from Brazil to come back to just to yeah. That's why I asked you that, Arjun, because it's actually a surprise for us. Our time is running out. I was just gonna ask both of you if you have anything to say, anything you like to add, like about a Game Jam Plus. If you have any input you want to talk about yourself, can go, Arjun.
okay. So probably this like my closing statement. I would say that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I believe that Game Jam Plus is would be impactful for many reasons. I would say that you say the situation in Hans and in me, in Yasmin, in yourself, in Brazil, right? I believe that we as a game industry should kind of like collaboration to collab together, not only for the product but also for like the belongingness of the industry itself, like because the game industry is kind of compared to other industries is quite new, right? That's why we need to kind of like work out things out together, as you say, like Hans knowing me for networking, etc. I want to kind of like also happy to know all of you guys and sharing all and exchange information, etc.
Yeah.
Like so I believe that Game Jam Plus would be a great way to um, as a mirror to our kind of like collaborativeness. I think that's it.
Yasmin?
Yeah, I think the feeling is very the same. It's really nice to see people from around the world working for that to make the market more professional, and seeing that besides all the cultural differences, the motivation is the same, the feeling is the same. So it's nice to see. It's nice to have this support, global support, and let's keep in touch. I think this is really important to maintain this feeling after the game jam to maintain the market growing. So it's really important.
Totally agree with that.
Kind of sad that Hans couldn't be with us till the end.
Yeah.
Actually, it would be a perfect close statement to know what he was actually gonna talk about. So I think that's it. Ricardo, that's it.
Awesome.
I don't know, actually.
It comes with Black River. We have jobs.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
lot of them.
Okay. So we're gonna end like this. It was really good talking with you. I think we're gonna we're gonna start in the next few minutes, but if with other people, for all the people that's still watching, you can stay tuned with the local YouTube channel. So that's it.
Right.
Thank you, guys.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
Fala galerinha, eu sou o Cristiano Torreão, dublador do Lupus de Grand Chase, do Jarvan IV de League of Legends, do nosso queridíssimo Junkrat de Overwatch e do Azaf de Uncharted Lost Legacy, entre outros personagens. Galerinha, eu tô aqui para convidar vocês para um evento especialíssimo, vocês não podem perder. É o Esquenta da Game Jam Plus 2020. É isso aí, galera. E no dia 8 de outubro eu vou estar lá, num painel especialíssimo, junto com o Marcelo Figueiredo, CEO da Radioativa Game Sound. E nós vamos falar do quê? Nós vamos falar sobre trilha sonora original e voz original para jogos. É isso aí, galerinha. A gente vai falar sobre o processo de construção das trilhas e do processo, dos conceitos para a escolha das vozes dos personagens dos games, tanto em inglês quanto em português. Então, é um painel imperdível, feito para você que é super curioso em conhecer como é feita a dublagem e como é feita a trilha sonora para jogos. Dia 8 de outubro, a partir das 18h30, horário de Brasília, eu e Marcelo Figueiredo, junto com vocês na Game Jam Plus 2020. Espero vocês lá.